In a small city nestled between two rivers lived a young man named Zayan. He was sharp-minded, full of energy, and always looking ahead. But somewhere along the way, Zayan developed a habit that quietly destroyed everything he built. He was always chasing what belonged to others, not stealing, not lying, but comparing. Constantly watching others, wanting their lives, their success, their recognition. If a friend got promoted, Zayan couldn't sleep. If a neighbor bought a car, Zayan felt humiliated. If a classmate got married well, Zayan felt like he was falling behind in a race nobody had asked him to run. His father, a quiet man who ran a small bookshop, often saw the restlessness in Zayan's eyes. He would say, "Zayan, the river doesn't envy the ocean. It simply flows toward its own destination." But Zayan would wave it off. He thought his father was a man who had settled for little. He didn't want to settle. He wanted more, not because he needed it, but because someone else already had it. One year, Zayan heard that his old university friend, Hamid, had launched a startup and was making good money. Without thinking it through, Zayan left his stable accounting job and poured all his savings into starting a similar business. He had no passion for it. No plan. Just the image of Hamid's success burning in his mind. Within 8 months, the business collapsed. He came home one evening with nothing, no job, no savings, no direction. He sat at the dinner table in silence. His mother placed food in front of him and said gently, "Eat, Zayan." He looked up, his eyes hollow. "I lost everything, Amma." She sat beside him. "No. You lost what was never yours to begin with. What is yours, your talent, your time, your path, that is still waiting for you?" He didn't understand her. He went to bed that night feeling like a failure, wrapping himself in self-pity and bitterness toward Hamid, toward fate, toward the world. Days passed. Weeks passed. Zayan kept applying for jobs, but distraction followed him everywhere. In interviews, he spoke about what others were doing instead of what he could do. Rejection came repeatedly. The more he chased the image of someone else's life, the further his own felt. One afternoon, his father asked him to help at the bookshop for a few days. Zayan agreed, not out of willingness, but because he had nowhere else to be. The first day at the shop was slow and boring. Zayan sat behind the counter, scrolling his phone, watching others post achievements online. His chest tightened with every post. Then an old man walked in. He was perhaps 70, walking with a cane, a warm smile on his weathered face. He browsed the shelves slowly, picked up 3 books, and brought them to the counter. "You look troubled, young man," the old man said as Zayan packed the books. Zayan forced a smile. "I'm fine." The old man looked at him with kind, steady eyes. "I have seen that look before. In my own mirror, 40 years ago." Zayan paused. The old man continued, "I spent the first 30 years of my life wanting what my brother had, what my colleagues had, what strangers had. I worked not for myself but to compete with shadows. And one day I woke up and realized, I had run so far chasing other people's destinations that I had completely forgotten where I originally wanted to go." Zayan set the books down slowly. "What did you do?" The old man smiled. "I stopped. Just stopped. And I asked myself one question: if no one else existed in this world, no comparison, no competition, what would I want to build?" The answer came immediately. And everything I have today grew from that answer. He picked up his books, nodded gently, and walked out. Zayan stood behind the counter for a long time after that. That evening, he sat alone in the back room of the bookshop surrounded by shelves of old books and asked himself the old man's question. If no one else existed, what would I want to build? The answer surprised him. Not a startup. Not a flashy business. He had always loved numbers. Always loved finding the story hidden inside financial data. He had been good at it before he abandoned it to chase Hamid's path. He took out a notebook and began writing. Not a business plan. Just thoughts. What he was genuinely good at. What had once made him feel alive. What he could offer the world from a place of real strength, not jealousy. He wrote until midnight. When he came home, his mother was still awake. He sat beside her and said, "Amma, I think I finally understand what you meant." She looked at him quietly, waiting. What belongs to me isn't what Hamid has. It isn't what anyone else has built. What belongs to me is what I was always capable of, and I kept abandoning it every time I looked at someone else's life. His mother held his hand. "Now you are ready to begin." The next morning, Zayan went to his father and said, "Baba, I want to help with the shop's accounts properly. And in the evenings, I will build something small, on my own terms, in my own time." His father simply nodded and handed him a cup of tea. Zayan started small. He began offering freelance accounting services to local businesses. He didn't compare his earnings to Hamid's. He didn't look at what others were charging. He focused entirely on doing the work well, understanding each client's problem, solving it with care, showing up consistently. Within 6 months, word spread quietly through the neighborhood. Within a year, he had more clients than he could handle alone. He hired one assistant. Then another. He never launched a flashy startup. He never appeared in any business magazine. But every morning he woke up and walked into work that was truly his, work that came from his own skill, his own effort, his own direction. One evening, he ran into Hamid at a tea stall. Hamid's startup had also collapsed, as it turned out. They sat together and laughed, genuinely, without competition, two old friends who had both learned the same lesson through different pain. "I spent years trying to be you," Zayan admitted. Hamid shook his head slowly. "And I spent years trying to be someone else too. We were both chasing the wrong race." That night, Zayan sat with his father in the bookshop after closing time. The shelves were quiet. The city hummed softly outside. His father said, "You seem different now, Zayan." Zayan nodded. "I stopped running, Baba." His father smiled. "Then you have arrived." Here is what Zayan's story teaches us. When you chase what belongs to someone else, their career, their lifestyle, their timeline, you are not moving forward. You are moving sideways. You are spending the energy meant for your own path on roads that were never built for you. Comparison is not ambition. Comparison is confusion dressed as motivation. Your real life, your real gifts, your real work, your real peace, will never be found in someone else's story. Stop measuring your chapter 3 against someone else's chapter 20. Stop abandoning your own seed to water someone else's tree. Ask yourself the question the old man asked: if no one else existed, what would I want to build? That answer is yours. That path is yours. That life is yours.